Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. In pre-internet 1987, Conor and his dog Sandy lived a life of seclusion, lost in the slow rendering graphics of early Macintosh computers and televisions aglow with late-night horror and movie marathons. But when he begins playing OBEX, a new and mysterious state-of-the-art computer game, he finds himself trapped in a low-tech but high-stakes analog hellscape as the line between reality and game blurs. What a wonderful film. Really enjoyed this a lot. OBEX, we're joined today by the director, writer. You did a lot of things. Lead actor, Albert Birney. Albert, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. You were kind enough to come on for Strawberry Mansion, and what I think they share, these two films share, is this sense, the fanciful sense, kind of a slightly askew version, slightly askew version of reality. What was it that inspired you to make OBEX?
The first little seeds of it were thinking about these old computer games and video games that I loved playing as a child. And I had just made my first video game, Tux and Fanny, the year before, and was really kind of taken with the act of making a video game, kind of getting lost in this imaginary world, kind of coming out of that period thinking, oh gosh, I want to do that again. Maybe I could do that again, but also maybe make a movie at the same time. It was kind of going to be this hybrid video game movie thing. And then as I kind of took that idea a little bit further, I realized I don't really know what that would even look like. Maybe I should just make a movie that is about a video game. So that became the first seed of OBEX there.
There are, I don't know if I call them three kind of themes running through it, but with the introduction of the cicada into it, the sci-fi element, the gaming element of it, all of it is, I believe, sort of puts us out of our frame of references, if you will. The fact that cicadas come out every 17 years
Mhm.
is in and of itself kind of a mind-boggling fact of nature. But I just really like the way you build this world, which is very much like a computer game. You build a world for us to inhabit inside the computer and outside the computer. So I just really appreciate the way you're able to construct these different realities, if you will. Beyond what you mentioned, is there anything else you would add to that, sort of what your intentions were in that?
Yeah, well, the cicadas, I mean, what you said, the 17 years, yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing that they're underground right now, just kind of waiting this particular brood of bug, of insect. And so yeah, in 2021 when this movie was kind of first forming, it was the summer they were coming up and it was hard not to think about them because I would hear them all day long. They would land on me when I went for a walk. So they were definitely kind of in the forefront of my thinking. And then I found these two old Macintosh computers at a junk shop, and they had come out in 1987, which was a cicada year. So it was kind of all these things where you're like, okay, I want to make a movie about a video game. I've got these computers, I got these cicadas outside. Let's kind of put all these together, build a character kind of swirling around in this world, and see where that leads us.
Did you always intend to be in the film as well as directing it?
Yeah, I've done some acting in the past. I was never kind of the lead, but with this film, because it was kind of a personal story, it was the way that we filmed it was very much we're not going to wait for anybody to give us a green light. We're just going to start making it. My friend Pete came here with his camera. We shot for 5 days in the house where I live with my dog. It just made the most sense if I was going to play the lead character. There was a moment where I thought about maybe I should think about finding someone else to play it, but at the end of the day, it's like I enjoyed doing it. It was very fun, and I knew if I had someone else doing it, I would kind of micromanage them and micro direct them, and just it wouldn't be pleasant for anybody.
You mentioned Pete. Pete O's is he's all over this film in terms of his contributions. You mentioned he was a producer. Run me through some of it. Editor. How many hats did he wear?
Yeah,
Is he in the film
he
secretly?
he did put on one of the cicada
There
insect
you go.
masks for a shot, but that shot did not make it into the final film. So he's not officially, I guess, in the movie, although he could have been. But yeah, Pete. I mean, this movie started. It was just me and Pete. We were filming. There was no other crew. He was doing camera and sound. I was, acting, directing. We were both kind of coming up with the story every day. We were filming. We started with a very rough outline. And this was very much inspired by the way that Pete has been making movies for the last 5 or 6 years, where he will find three or four actors, they'll find a location, and they'll just write the movie as they go with a crew of one, with just Pete. And I think there's so many different ways to make movies, and I've made them in, with Strawberry Mansion, with Kentucker, it's more with a crew and lots of actors, and you have to find money. And he and I are working on our follow-up to that. But in the meantime, I think, kind of craving just something that would be fast and loose and ultimately just super, super fun.
What I liked about, especially the stuff at the beginning of the film with Connor Marsh in the house, it's very specific. I love the kind of the specificity as well as attention to detail in the film. When you're shooting elements that are in the house, the old equipment, the VHS tapes, and one in particular, one thing just jumped out at me. You had a turntable that had 16, 33, 45, and 78. Now, if that doesn't take us back to that era, I don't know what
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, that's
Very
funny.
specific. I love that about it. Just that's commenting because I really like that attention to detail in the film.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I love building a whole world in a kind of one location. Movies that kind of aren't afraid to just keep the character in one place, but it never feels isolated or small. You can do so much within one place. And yeah, the turntable, for example, like that's my actual turntable. I love old machines, and I love photographing them and just kind of giving them close-ups. The printer when it's printing this dot matrix printer, Pete and I were just loving showing it from every different angle and close-ups, and these are beautiful machines that I think sometimes we're always getting the new thing and kind of throwing away these old machines. And maybe this movie was a little bit wanting to like bring back some of these beautiful gadgets of yesteryear.
Well, and to your character, Connor, again, that specificity, that sort of attention to detail. I love the short sleeve shirt, the sort of kind of untucked but tucked in,
Mm.
kind of that messy. I don't know
Mm.
if that's the right word, but that he has, and seems to be kind of a acrophobic a bit. At least is he interacts with technology much more effectively and than he does with people. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, definitely. And some of that comes from, I think, my own personality. I have no problem being at home all alone. Of course, I love people and love seeing friends, but there's a side of me that I think can be very content just with my computer and music and TV and movies and everything. So I think it was kind of looking at those character traits of me and just kind of amplifying them a little bit. I think I'm not as agoraphobic as Connor is. I can leave the house and go to the supermarket and all these things, but just kind of building the character not too far away from who I am.
I just want to remind our listeners we're speaking with director, writer, editor. You created some music for this film. The film is OBEX, and we're speaking with Albert Birney. When you shot those first 5 days or in the house, did you know the full range of the film at that point? Did you understand where we were going with it, or did it just sort of,
Not at all. We basically had an outline that was the first 20 scenes. That was the idea of like, okay, scene one is he's taking the trash out and he sees a cicada in the trash can. Scene two, he's sitting on the sofa eating breakfast with his dog, watching TV. Scene three, at his computer typing for the first time. That was it. There was no script. And it was about maybe the 13th kind of scene that we got to, which was Connor gets the OBEX game and he really loves it, where I was thinking, this is not going to make for fun. It's not going to be fun to shoot, and it's not going to be fun to watch if for the rest of the movie he's just sitting on a computer.
right?
And that was when we kind of pivoted, and it was like, okay, the game actually is not very fun that he gets, but then that kind of opens up this world where maybe things start happening around his house, and is he slowly kind of in the game getting lost? Which those 5 days got us all the way up to the moment when Sandy goes missing and Connor walks into the
Yeah.
backyard, into the woods.
Okay.
And that was a great kind of place to get to, knowing, okay, we've got a first half of something here. Is this even a movie yet? We're not sure, but we've got something. And then kind of taking the time over the next basically year to figure out what comes next. And in that time, I grew the beard, I grew my hair out. We got costumes for the second half. We built props. We basically just figured out where it could go from there. So yeah, it was, I think having that time really gave us a lot of freedom. I think if we had been tasked to make the entire movie in those 5 days, it wouldn't have been nearly as successful.
Well, you made a number of shorts since you made Strawberry Mansion, so you may have been able to carve out something in a short, but so glad you did because it becomes the hero's journey.
Hmm.
It becomes that's what it turns into. Sandy is certainly a big part of why that is. The people we meet along the way. I love Victor. I loved his character. I loved his kind of bearing, the what he brought to the story, what he brought to your character. It is Wizard of Oz. There's a lot of references I think you could safely make in terms of the storytelling here. But it is what again I so appreciate about filmmakers, especially filmmakers who take this kind of step off the usual path into another place and ask the audience to come along with them. And in this film, your character, Connor, is such a he not an easy guy at the beginning, but he becomes a very sympathetic character as the film progresses, and somebody you want to follow. You're hoping the best for him and on his journey, and to be able to spend time with his dog on the beach and all of that stuff. It becomes part of it, and I'm so grateful when a filmmaker or storyteller decides that they're going to make a film like this, and you must be gratified. I would hope in terms of the reaction and the reception to the film has been very positive. So just in terms of what I'm talking about, congratulations, but also what are your thoughts on how this has gone for you?
Yeah, no, thank you. When you set out to make something, you're never really sure what it will feel like or how it will be received in the world. And with this film too, there was even like an earlier version of it where I don't think it would have been as successful. I won't give anything away, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have as happy an ending. It's a little darker. And we started to share that with some people and realized right away, okay, yeah, if you've got a film with a dog, you have to end in a happy place, or else you're going to lose, 95% of your audience, including myself. I think I would watch that early version of the film and kind of feel like, yeah, this is the movie. But again, you're kind of just following these trails, and an initial idea led us one way, and then maybe 6 months later, editing, we realized, oh, we need to actually, go the opposite direction and get Connor to the beach in this kind of, yeah, no spoilers, but
Yeah.
yeah, and you brought up Wizard of Oz. That's one of those films that I think I'll always be inspired by. It's a film I've watched probably more than any other movie in my life. Just watched it again at Christmas with my nieces and nephew, and it's still, I always say it's just a film that feels so out of time. It feels from the future in a way. Like it feels like we're never gonna catch up to this magical place that this movie comes from, or time this movie comes from. It's just perfect in every way. Um, and so
Yeah.
I think, and it is like that hero's journey, and it is kind of leaving home, going into this new place, and then kind of returning at the end. And
Yeah.
nothing wrong with kind of doing the classics over and over
No.
again. I think it feels good for a reason.
Nothing wrong with it. You're in good company. I understand that David Lynch was obsessed with Wizard of Oz. It was kind of a touchstone film for him in his career.
Yeah.
So you're certainly in good company in
Yeah.
creating
I,
film.
I always think not only David Lynch, but John Waters, both David Lynch and John Waters would always cite the film as their favorite film. And those are the two kind of, godfathers of the midnight movie, as it were, with Pink Flamingos and Eraserhead. And I think, if that movie can kind of inspire both of these giant artists in our lives, then that's pretty special. And I think that just speaks to the power of that film and the great Judy Garland and
And the production values, and there's so much about that film that came together just in an incredible way. Really,
Yeah,
truly.
yeah.
Well, OBEX is no slouch. Check this out. If you're listening to our conversation, you can find it. It's being released through Oscilloscope, a terrific distributor. Congratulations on landing with them. Director, writer, editor. How many hats did you wear? I mean, I know you wore a lot of hats, so I'm gonna. You wrote some music for it. I mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, I wear all the hats because I love wearing all the hats, and it's so fun to do it that way. So yeah, by design, I'm
Co
very good at it.
co-star,
Yeah.
co-star as well. I left that one out. I shouldn't have left that one out. Albert Birney, thank you so very much for spending some time with us on Cinemaphile. I look forward to more. I hope it's not 17 years from now,
Yeah.
but I look forward to more from you. Thank you so much, Albert.
All right, thanks, Mike. Take care.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.